Hi loves, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Olivia, and in our previous video I shared how to draft a bustier with yoke and a keyhole back. So in this video we are going to cut and then sew our bustier with yoke. So let's get started. I folded my lace into two and I'll place the center of the pattern, that's the front, onto the center of the lace, and I'll place all other pattern on the lace. So we need a joining allowance, so I'm going to add 0.5 to this part like this, and then also add the upper part of the pattern because we are going to add the yoke to it and we need an allowance. I'll do the same thing to the back. Since I'll be attaching an eyelet, I'll need an allowance there, and then also at the upper part of the back. Same applies to the side front. Next, I'll cut the lining and I'm going to use a satin. So I'm going to cut 4 of this satin, so it is folded into 4. Both parts are on fold. Now one of the lining is going to serve as the main lining and the other the normal lining. So the main lining will be used to line the lace because the lace is transparent. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut, and normally when I'm working I like to notch all the important part. So I like to notch the underbars, the nipple point of the front. This will help me to join the front easily, so kindly do that. And we need our yoke. The front yoke will be on fold, so the lace has to also be on fold, and we need a 1/2 inch allowance to join the lace, that's the yoke, to the main bustier. So we need 1/2 inch for joining allowance, so I'll do that. I'll repeat the same thing for the back as well. Now while drafting my basic pattern, I added 1/2 inch to the shoulder line, that's to be able to join to a sleeve. That is why whilst cutting this part I didn't add 1/2 inch to the armhole. So if you did not do that whilst drafting yours, you should include it. All right, so I want a bias out of the lace so as to knitting the neckline of the top and then the back keyhole. So I folded it diagonally and I cut about 1 inch, and that's on fold, so I'm going to cut that into 2. So we are going to make use of this as we move ahead. I'm going ahead to attach the main lining to the lace for both the front and the back, and I've also ironed an interfacing to the lining for both the front and the back. With the help of our notches, we are going to join the front part, so each notch should correspond with each other. So nipple to nipple notch like this, and then underbars notch to the other like that. So at this point you are just free to manipulate the rest and then pin it down. I'll repeat the same thing to the other side. Next, I'll take it to the machine and stitch the 1/2 inch allowance that we added whilst cutting. I'll do same to the lining. So after joining, I'll turn it to the wrong side and notch from the underbust just as shown. Try not to notch close to your allowance, and with the help of my bust ham, I'll iron the seams open. So for the sake of beginners, we are going to take our time to join this section, so please pay attention. So I'm going to remove my pattern. Now this is the right side of my lace, and it's going to face the right side of the bust here. That's the off shoulder part. So I'll place the center of the lace to the center of the bust here this way. I'll pin it down, and then I'll pin one side, just one side, like I'm doing. Just pin from the center, and then you move towards your side. So when you take it to your machine, you start from one side and you stop at the center like this. So this is how I've stitched mine, and I've stopped. So we are going to continue from where we started again, from the center, and then you move to the other side. So after pinning, you stitch from where you stop, and then you stitch it down like that. So this is how far we've gone with this. This is how it looks. Now we have to line it. You pick your lining, use a pin to hold down the yoke, that's the center part, ½ inch away from the edge, just to keep any excess away, and then you pin the center of the lining to the center of the main piece. So from there you continue to the other side just like you did first, and try to watch out for the yoke so you don't pin any excess to the lining, if I'm even making sense. So let me show you how I stitched mine. So when you get to the center, this is called pivoting. You stop at the center, you push any excess from the other side like this, just like I'm doing, and then you continue stitching, and make sure you watch out for any excess below the dress, and then on top of the dress pull away any excess. And you also notch close to the stitch like this. Make sure you repeat the same thing all around. Next, I'm going to top stitch, and I'm going to add a hemming gown before I top stitch. So I'll use my fingers to pull the lining and the main piece like that, and then I'll top stitch. Please make sure all the excess are towards the lining before you top stitch. Now for the back keyhole, we are going to use our bias that we made, and I'm going to fold it into two like this, and I'll start from wherever you want. I'll start from here, that's from the top, just like this, and I'll pin it down. Make sure the bias faces the right side. So after pinning, I'm going to stitch 1/4 of an inch, just 1/4, a little, and after doing that, I'll trim off excess allowance. I'll also notch. So you pull the excess towards the bias, and then you top stitch. So this is after I top stitch. This is the wrong side. I'm going to fold it this way, and I'll stitch on it again. Yeah, so this is how it looks on the right side of the lace. Just like we did for the front, I'll put a yoke on the back like this. This one is easier, so I'm going to pin it this way, and I'll also pin the lining on it. So after pinning and stitching, I will flip it this way and top stitch. I've also attached cuffs. I went ahead to join the shoulders, and I've stitched the sides in with 1/4 of an inch for both the front and the back. Now I'm going to flip the back on the front like this, and with the help of my sewing allowance, I will join them together. So after this, the next thing is to fix my eyelet, and afterwards I'm going to join the lower part to the upper part, which is a pleat. I've pleated the rest of the lace and I'll join it to the upper part. I'll attach zipper to the skirt part of this dress. I'll also attach a long sleeve to the armhole of the dress. So for the neckline, the same thing we did for the keyhole, that is what you repeat on the neckline. So you fold it into two. Now on one side of the bias, you fold it this way, and before you fold it, so that the edge will be knitting. All right, so you fold it this way and you put it on the neckline like this, and you stitch. So after you're done, you just attach a button and a buttonhole or a press stud, and that will be all. And I hope you've learned a thing or two from this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and if you are new, you are welcome to my channel. Turn on your post notification bell, so anytime I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you all for your support. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.